Were you always a believer in the other side?
You know, I went spent a lot of years not even thinking about it. And then I started to think more and more about it, and I thought, well, I don't know that this can be possible. And then I was introduced to Raymond. I was asked to write a book for Raymond.
He'll change your mind.
And he will.
Yeah,
he's such a pleasant person, and he doesn't push anything. He just says, this is how it is, and you can believe it or not.
I had my doubts years ago about life after death. I sometimes, part of me figured this dark end of life,
Right.
This is it, it's over.
Right.
But then listening to people like Raymond Moody and Daniel Brinkley, I began to think, no, there's got to be something to this. This is not just coincidental. I don't believe in coincidences. It's not accidental.
Right.
There's something going on there. I'm now a staunch believer in
Yeah.
the other side.
I'm a staunch believer, pretty much a staunch believer now. If I had to assign it from 1 to 100, I would probably say I'm 90% believer.
That's very high.
That's pretty high, yeah. But there's always doubt. There's always doubt with this because it's a very difficult subject to come up with 100% proof on.
What came first, us or the other side?
Wow. I would say the other side would almost have to be first.
Yeah.
Because someone created all of this stuff. I know the current science says it just happened and happened in certain ways. I keep hearing things about lightning striking boulders and creating a living form, and the living form over billions of years becomes us sitting here. But that's harder for me to believe than if you will, creation.
What do you think the afterlife is, Paul?
It's very hard to define. I mean, I do believe we were created. You know, I do believe, I'll call it God because I don't know whether,
For lack of a better phrase, I guess.
That we were created by God. I have no idea what heaven, I do have an idea what heaven looks like
or
actually.
Hell.
I do have an idea what that looks like as well, because through near-death experiences, which are considered gateway experiences, meaning that you can go to the gates of heaven, but you can't go beyond. That's how it is with near-death experiences. So you hear people describe heaven, and I've heard so many people describe heaven that I am inclined to believe that is what heaven looks like. But what God has planned for us, I have no idea.
Paul, what do you think is one of the biggest convincing arguments for the existence of the other side? What's out there?
Well, I mean, we touch it, we deal with that in this book, but what's out there on the other side, I don't have any idea. I mean, I'm sorry to say that. I just, I should have developed a pat answer by now, but I don't have one. And I also know that Raymond rarely can express a pat answer. He says, I do believe in God. I do believe that God created us. I do believe He has a plan for us, but I don't know what that plan is.
Is this all faith-based?
Oh, not at all. No, Raymond is not what I call a Bible thumper.
No,
at all.
He's not. Never has been.
No, but he has a really strong base in philosophy. And he feels that the proof of life after death will come from philosophy, not science.
And he's very convincing. If you had to take this into court, he's the guy you'd want to bring in there with you.
I would think so, yeah.
What's a shared death experience, Paul?
It's when a person who is well shares the death experience of a person who's dying. And what that means is there's a number of types of...
Give us an example.
...shared death experience. But what that means is that we have some examples where there have been families with 8 or more people, for instance, who are at the deathbed of a loved one. And they will all experience the same experience that he might be describing. I just saw my wife, and they'll be seeing that. They'll be seeing his life review. People reliving a person's life review with them is very common.
Are these shared death experiences common?
They're way more common than I thought they were. And oftentimes they have slipped definition in the past. And so they don't show up in any medical books. They aren't called shared death experiences. Until about 10 years ago, Raymond and I decided to write a book on shared death experiences. And we wrote just a tiny book called Glimpses of Eternity.
Well, we've got